So here's my latest stadium I'm going to be working on. It's already pre-made in the game called Double Decker. It's based on Tiger Stadium. It has the exact dimensions, even though they kind of get messed up later on. You can see I have to move the seats in the outfield. Those all need moved in. The upper deck needs to come in closer. It also needs lowered. The roof needs to be lowered and moved in as well. So while it's all pre-made, there's still quite a bit to do here, along with adding some luxury boxes. So here I'm just moving in these outfield seats closer to the wall. I'm not lining anything up, or I'm just getting them moved to start the process of getting this entire outfield wall moved in near the fence. It's too bad that they pre-made this stadium and the seats are all this far away from the wall. So here I'm just moving the upper deck seats in so they're kind of hanging over top of the wall, or I mean the outfield fence. As you know, in Tiger Stadium, the seats are pretty much right on top of the fence, so it made home runs in the upper deck pretty common. And I had to do a lot of tinkering out here with these to eventually get them right, and I had a long ways to go from here. As you can see, like from right here, I'm already running into the problems because of the way the fence is at Tiger Stadium, how they go at such an angle from 340 to 440, and then the other one's like 325 to 340, I think. It just goes at a sharp angle, and it's hard to make the seats look right. But and right now I was figuring this is just going to be a complete disaster when trying to get the corners to line up with everything else. This is where I'm just trying to figure out how to mesh these corner pieces all on top of each other and blend them together, kind of so you don't have, so the fence like meshes together, and not the fence but the wall piece there, and so the people kind of blend together without anything looking too bad. And it surprises me how well it works. And I mean, this stadium creating could be a complete disaster if these pieces didn't blend together as easily as they do. And I mean, it takes a little trial and error with it, and the more you do it, the better you get. But I mean, you wouldn't really be able to create much without being able to blend these together. And I forget, but I might have had all these at like the wrong height or something like that, because I remember I had to adjust the height on these at least 2 or 3 times before I finally had them right. Now I'm just working to move the roof in. Even at Tiger Stadium, the roof kind of overhangs the grounds, the field of play, just like the upper deck does. And especially out here in left field and right field, it's pretty common for guys to hit the ball in the upper deck, and a few of them hit it on the roof, and a couple guys hit it over the top of the roof. And I wasn't really trying to line anything up here. I'm just trying to move it in. And I think I had to go through and readjust all of these before they finally look right. Not being able to use this big piece here, that made for taking a little bit longer to do this corner, because a lot of adjusting and a lot of overlapping here to make this look right. And there was just no way I was going to use that big piece, especially once I moved all the seats in. And in fairness, I probably moved them in too far behind home plate, because it really leaves me no room to do any kind of... When I try to add the luxury boxes, there's no room to add anything. Here you can see I had all the roof pieces moved in, except I had to lower all of them, because I figured it would just be faster, move all of them in where they kind of need to go, and then I would just lower all of them at the same time, because you got to keep on pushing like the Y button every time you want to either move them side to side or up and down. And I felt like this would just be a little bit quicker. I don't know if it was or not, but plus I didn't have to move the camera. And this is the part that really pissed me off, because as you can see, I was moving the roof piece, and all of a sudden the piece, it goes to the wall instead, and I didn't really know it, and all of a sudden I'm moving the wall, and you know that when you move the wall, you you have to go back to the way it was, except I had no way of going back to the way it was once it had gotten moved. And up to this point, the stadium, with the wall that was preset, it was able to be played online. And now here, the wall got changed, and I probably spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out what wall preset was the best, because they don't even have the Tiger Stadium wall preset in the game, but yet they have it in this pre-made stadium. And here you can see me going through a lot of the wall presets, and I went through every one of them like 5 times, and none of them were the same dimensions that this was. So unfortunately, the stadium, because of that, it's not online. I mean, you can't play it online ranked or whatever now because of that. And all I was just moving that upper deck, moving the wall piece, and it just automatically switched to moving the wall. I hope the hell that that's something that they can patch and fix. It's just like when you add some pieces and they appear off in the distance, and you've seen that in like my last video, where I would add something and it would show up over off in the mountains or something. But this one was just a real kicker. Because once the wall changes, you have to basically go find a wall preset, because there's no like hit the B button to cancel what you've just done. Not after the wall had moved on me. But I just don't get why they don't have the Tiger Stadium wall preset when they have the stadium preset with the Tiger Stadium dimensions already in the game. It just doesn't make sense. And here I'm still going back and forth on these wall presets, trying to find something that works, and none of them does. At this point, I'm just changing the color of the wall, and some of it I was moving in. I was trying to adjust some of the height of the wall. I was still pissed off at this point. Especially after I had already... At this point, I've got like over 2 hours into making this stadium. And really, for the most part, the stadium itself is done at this point, outside of a few little tweaks in the outfield. And I hadn't added any little things at this point, but for the most part, you know, I mean, it was as good as done, and this just added another half hour to it, and then on top of everything else. I didn't think I would need to add these like I did with Candlestick Park, but after looking from home plate and everything, I thought after I had lowered the upper deck down that you wouldn't really be able to see out like you could, but that wasn't the case, so I decided to add these, and it still didn't really work out like I wanted. It didn't make it, because I wanted it to look like it was dark, you know, like it was in the shadow or something like that, with the upper deck covering it, and that wasn't the case. Even with enclosing it like this, I just didn't get the look I was looking for like I had got from Candlestick Park. So you can see it doesn't look dark, it's just kind of gray, and that wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Like, I don't know, there's like no shadows going on here. I don't know what was up, but... And at this point, I'm not done with the stadium. I haven't added a bunch of the little details. I just wanted to get in Home Run Derby and see what the park looked like in action. And I like to, by default, use Frank Thomas and Ken Griffey Jr. for Home Run Derby, just because you got a left-hander and a right-hander. Two of the best home run hitters. And so these are two of my favorite players from the 90s. And so they're usually my go-to guys. And one of my goals with Tiger Stadium was to make sure it was easy to hit it in the upper deck and possible to hit it on the roof. I think that last shot before that one, Frank Thomas actually hit it on the roof. I'll at least let this play out until the end, and I think it shows it when he hit it on the roof. And throughout Home Run Derby, I actually hit it on the roof in left field and right field. I've noticed a few problems in right field. Griffey was hitting it, and it was landing in... It was like going through the upper deck. I don't know why that was happening. I don't know if it's just because I have too many sections of seats out there or what. And at this point, I haven't added the luxury boxes or the suites or whatever you want to call them. Here you can see Frank Thomas's second home run there landed on the roof, and the other two looked like they were in the upper deck. And that was really what I was going for. In my last stadium, the stadium with the football field, I was hoping to have it so you could hit home runs in the upper deck, but I wasn't paying attention, and I had the upper deck just too far away from the fence, so it kind of made hitting home runs in the upper deck impossible. after Home Run Derby, I went back to continue editing the stadium and basically adding the little finer details. And I know Tiger Stadium has a flagpole like in center field, and it might be in play, but I'm not sure. But obviously, you can't put anything in play on here, so I got this as close to the wall in center field as I could next to the batter's eye, and just decided to use the letter I to make this flagpole. Since there was really nothing, I'm surprised they don't have just like a pole or something, or at least a flagpole that's long. And the only ones they do have are really short, which surprises me. And this, when I played Home Run Derby again, this thing was really one of the coolest things in the outfield. And you can see I added some signs up there next to the scoreboard. Another little thing noticeable in Tiger Stadium was the water tower in the background. And you can see right there the seats. That little section right there underneath the water tower, I lowered that. If you look in some of the photos, that section is like lower. So it's just one of those little minor details I wanted to make sure I got in here. I mean, it look a little bit, it is what it is, but I think it's just one of those cool little details that I don't know if somebody else would notice. And one of the last things to do was to add the light towers. And I thought these were about the closest thing to what Tiger Stadium had. I don't think the ones at Tiger Stadium were exactly this tall, but again, they were the closest design to what Tiger Stadium had. So I was really struggling with the luxury boxes in the press box and what to use, because the actual press box and luxury boxes they offer, it really didn't fit this spot. Just because I just didn't have the room, and they don't even look that right. So this is part of the concession area, and I just thought this thing looked like it could be a press box, it could be a luxury box, especially one of the ones in the older stadiums, because the ones in Tiger Stadium, they don't have seats in front of them and all that other fancy stuff. They're just like some little tin shack. It's like what they look like, but I thought that this thing was perfect and it fit the part. And after I put them there, all I had to do was just move these seats back a little bit. And but let me know what you think of these concession areas being used for the press box or luxury boxes. And I don't even think Tiger Stadium really had luxury boxes. I think they were just, nothing luxury about them. They were just, suites or whatever. And like the press box here and whatever, it's not even anything that really shows up in the game, so it's not that big of a deal. It's more like something, it's more important for the outfield than it is behind home plate. But still, I wanted to try to get every last detail into this stadium that I could do. And now I was adding the same concession area for the upper level suites. And they only go around from like the third base to over here in right field, which is interesting. You would have thought they would have went all the way around the park, but I guess they didn't. And there was a few more that I could have added. There's spots around the lower bowl that have, or underneath the upper deck that have some of these, and I was just ready to get this stadium done with, because at this point I'm like 4, maybe 5 hours into making this thing. This is where I was trying to add some of the retired numbers that are featured out in right field. And of course, for some damn reason, they don't have numbers on here, and there's nothing like retired numbers. There's banners, nothing like that. I don't know why they wouldn't have banners on here, like championship banners, division titles, whatever. They don't have any of that on here, or some kind of retired numbers. I mean, even Jackie Robinson's number, you would think something like that would be on here to where you could add that to a stadium, but it's not. So I'm just like scrolling through the whole thing here looking to see if they have numbers. They don't. So I just decided to add DET for Detroit. And I think this is just a nice little touch. I believe this was the last thing I was doing. I didn't really have any room to add concessions underneath the upper deck. And there is no room for the upper deck, so it's just the lower deck to where you can add these. And so I had to just basically have the outside of the concession areas just as a little backdrop, little added dimension, whatever you want to call it. You can see I've added a bunch of them up there, and I think, for what I did, they turned out pretty good. They look normal and everything. You can see it's mostly inside the wall, so not much of it is actually showing, but just enough to make it look like something. And here I am back in Home Run Derby again. At this point, the stadium is done, and I'm just playing through Home Run Derby to see what it all looks like. You can see the flagpole out there. I really think that's one of the coolest things I added to this whole stadium. If you look at that one, he hit it in the press box, or not the press box, the luxury box up there. And that one actually landed in the upper deck, whereas before I was hitting them and they were going through the upper deck. So I don't know if that was just a minor one-time glitch or what, but so I had a lot of fun making this stadium. I've been to Tiger Stadium many times, and it's always been one of my favorite stadiums, so I hope I done right by it. So yeah, just leave a comment, leave a like, let me know what stadiums you'd like to see me work on in the future. If you think I can do something better with this stadium, let me know, and I'll work on it and fix it and re-upload it, whatever. I had fun making this one. Thanks for watching.